Welcome to an incomplete guide to personal growth. We invite you to take a breath and take a listen to our podcast that explores the wonder, humor, challenges, and sometimes those self-inflicted wounds on the journey of personal growth.
Our weekly podcast conversations include stories, resources, and tools that you can incorporate into your daily life. We're the mother-daughter duo of Sydney West
and Kelly Arundel.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Sydney.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Yeah, it's a good day.
Good. So this episode's coming out kind of around Valentine's Day, so I wanted to ask all that kind of answers, like tell what our opinions are on Valentine's Day.
It's hyped up, man.
It is.
It went from getting those little hard candies, Be Mine, and all that kind of stuff, and fun little foldables to big expectations and comparing.
Yeah.
Maybe judging.
So apt.
I know.
Yeah, I know you've never been a fan. I can kind of get, I don't know, if like you just got together as a couple, like that can be exciting. And maybe like Brian and I don't always celebrate, so if there's a year we've finally decided to go out and do something, then doing it on the day and making it special. But it can be, if you use it as your moment of the year.
Yes. Yeah. To me, it's all those little things that Paul does throughout the year.
Yeah.
That makes the difference. And with him traveling as much as he does.
He's usually
I have a lot of time by myself on Valentine's. But he always is giving you and Lauren cards and little things.
Yeah, little gifts. Yeah,
every year. He won't forget that.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I'll maybe dislike it more as a parent later when you have to do like the classroom Valentine's Day stuff. I have a feeling I'm not going to like it.
Yeah. To me, it's about just the little thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think Valentine's, if we keep it like that, for me, I don't need the big stuff and the flu, because if I expect it, then I'll be let down.
Yeah, and I think people put high expectations on it.
That's just it.
But if you keep them realistic, then I think
it's a nice day to honor love.
Yes.
For
but
all
it doesn't,
love.
Yeah. But it doesn't need to be as hyped up.
Right.
But if you love Valentine's Day and that happens for some reason to be your favorite,
then go with that.
Yeah, go with it.
Go with it. Everybody's got their holidays.
That's true. That is
Everybody
true.
has their ones that.
Woo. I do. Everybody else, they don't like the little chalk hearts or whatever. Yeah. Oh my God, I'll take them. I don't even care if they like. I'll eat them. I'll be like, it is kind of bad, but I want to keep eating.
It's just this memory of the little box they came in. You hear them shaking,
Yes.
I will eat that.
I love and that. I love candy corn. I'll eat Peeps. I eat all the controversial candy.
That's good.
All the controversial
candy. I've never heard that term, but I'm going to hang on to it.
Yes. I want to do a quick review from last week. So you read that poem about falling in the hole.
Yes.
So,
chapters,
and mistakes. So I took Charles to his first dentist appointment. They have this little castle structure that you can climb in. He was up there. And then, of course, he's at the very top when I call his name. I'm like, Charles, you got to get down. Brian's up there with him. He helps Charles. I'm like trying to drag him out of there. And then, but you could definitely hit your head. And I didn't back up enough. So I'm like trying to stand up with 30 pounds and balance myself. And it's just not, and I literally, and I'm like, Charles is fine. Yeah. He was top priority. You know, I fell backwards. I was like, where's his head?
Oh, no.
But it was just, and there was another family waiting in there. And I'm like, okay. No. And I'm like, well, at least
Did you hear giggles?
No.
No, that was nice.
No, they were nice. It was like a, and I'm like, okay, the baby is fine. This was a mistake.
That's silly. I can get over myself.
I know. It's like, well, at least we're going to the back and then I won't see any of them again. I may see the staff again, but they'll forget.
Yeah.
So, but that was
funny.
And I was like, well, I fell.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't make that same mistake when it comes to lifting up Charles again. And falling again.
That's funny. Our pride.
Yes, I know. And if you want to read that poem, it will be on our website.
It's on our website,
so take a look at it. It's good. This week's topic is judgment. I know I didn't say that on the podcast. I posted it on Instagram, but we didn't say it on the
We didn't say it.
podcast last week. But whatever.
Shame.
This week is about judgment and being judgmental.
Yes.
So I did a little bit of looking because I was like, we have all these different terms for it. There's judging, there's judgment, and there's judgmental.
Yes.
It's like, what are some differences? So judging and judgment are meant to be more balanced and objective views. So we think of like, well, our general judgment system, our court system. That's, I think, where those words like are supposed to be associated. And then judgmental is meant to be more like reactive and not objective, like subjective. And so there is a difference. I feel like I think we were talking earlier and you were saying that like judgment even now has kind of gotten kind of an iffy connotation, I feel like, in society. But it's supposed to be judging and judgment are objective, and then judgmental is when you're subjective, and when you're reactive, it's not. Judgmental takes an observation and basically makes it mean, is what I read somewhere too.
Oh, really?
So it's like you can say, Billy has made a mess at the table. Therefore, you're making this assumption, basically. Therefore, he's a slob and disrespectful.
Oh, that's when it becomes judgmental. Yeah.
Judgment is just saying, yep, Billy made a mess at the table, versus like Billy made a mess at the table and he's a mess. He's a slob. He's and like going.
Adds other, yeah.
Yeah. And like, so that's kind of what I saw when I was looking online. It kind of like took me down that path.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's judgmental. Is harsh.
Yeah.
And I read too that our opinions, the word opinions and judgmental or judging have become intertwined. And we almost put this connotation on my opinion is it.
Yes, is judgment. Like it is.
This is the fact.
Yeah.
When it's really just my opinion.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've become aware of is when I start looking at someone or a situation and start judging it, I feel it in my body. My body changes, I should say. Whether it's anger or, not anxiety, but anger or just critical.
Cringe.
Cringe-worthy. Yeah. And so when I feel it, then I begin to look, what's going on? Why are you reacting this way? What is your,
Yeah. And so, that's kind of one of my first questions too, is like, what are first steps to like catch ourselves when we're being judgmental? So I like that, like, if you catch yourself, it's like, is your body doing something? That's like one way maybe to.
That's one way. Yeah. And I think, whenever this is again about personal growth, because whenever let me just put me out there, whenever I start judging somebody or become critical of something somebody's doing or of a situation, it's time for me to stop and look at myself.
Yeah.
Why? Why does that matter? Why is that bothering you?
Yeah.
And so much of we're predisposed to judgment.
Yeah.
From the time we're little, how do our parents speak of other people, of other religions, of situations?
Yeah.
If I haven't spoken with people
who are different
from me, then
you just start doing it.
Yeah. I don't know their situation. And when I hear stories, that just kind of melts away my judgment.
And you can relate.
Yeah. So I think that it's whenever we start that, well, sometimes I'm way down the road 3 miles before I stop and go, what is that to you?
Yeah.
You don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so because I feel like a big thing, and you kind of touched on it when we're being judgmental, is like, we don't have perspective. So what what are some ways that we can gain perspective? You know, it's like if we see somebody and we start judging, how do we change some of our thoughts?
Oh.
You know?
Yeah. I tell you one thing that has changed. When I see somebody in the store whose kid is screaming, because I've been in this situation, I have a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
And I think, man, that's a tough day.
Yeah.
You know, and if the parent, not abusive, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But, would you know, I've been there too. Mm-hmm. I don't have to judge.
Yeah.
Because I've been there and I've done that, and then I've had to apologize.
Yes, yeah.
And backtrack. Mm-hmm. And go, God, they're acting like a 2-year-old. Go figure.
Because they're a 2-year-old.
Yes, because they are.
Yes.
But so that's one that's a little easier because I've been there.
Yeah, you can just remind yourself of that. Yeah.
You know, it's harder.
Yeah.
But to recognize it and go, stop, you're not in their shoes. You don't know what kind of day they have. You don't know if they've experienced a great loss. Maybe they just lost their job. Maybe they're in an abusive relationship. Who knows what is going on in another person's life?
Yeah.
And to go...
Yeah.
The other thing is to remind myself the world doesn't circle around me.
Yes. That is so hard.
Or my opinions.
Right.
Or my judgments. And to go...
Yeah, because I think, too, it's like we think sometimes, I don't know, let's say, someone was rude to you or whatever. You just start judging them about their... But it's like, okay, I know I didn't do anything, you know, so it's like, it's not about me. It's whatever's going on in them. And then you just need to let it go and, like, stop all the judgmental talk about the other person and, like, move on with your day.
And it is so hard. And we can, I mean, I look at social media.
Yeah.
And... Okay, here we go. I like the Nextdoor app because it does tell me if there's some traffic thing going on or whatever. But on
Nextdoor, you will know if you're a homeowner. You will, if you don't live in a home. It's
or even if, I guess, neighborhood, right?
Yeah, neighborhood.
If
that's
you're
true.
Neighborhood, no matter where you are, you can get on these
Nextdoor.
things.
It's got some pretty funny.
And it always lets me know where the traffic stuff's going on. Or, well, did you hear that big boom? You know, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But the other aspect of that is, I will never go back to that Verizon store and because these two girls were Okay, have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Or their manager. But
it's
to
like a place
automatically go, never go to this place because of these people.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Now, I can see writing reviews that I got ripped off on something, but really, again, try first going to the
actual company or people or whatever. Yeah.
Or, you know, I hear, the neighbor's dogs won't stop barking. What should I do?
Go talk to the neighbor.
Yes. But again, then they're passing this judgment that all people need to think this about these people.
Yeah.
And it's their one experience. Mm-hmm. So
it's just, it gets to be very self-centered.
It becomes solid. Mm-hmm. Versus,
and it's like my opinion about this is the judge. Is the judgment,
and this
that you
is
should have.
And everybody needs to stop going to this store.
Yes, yeah,
and so
not
it's
quite like that.
Those type of, I think that social media has played into our thinking that our opinions are grander than they are.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I'm sure I'm guilty of that kind of thing, and but that's one of the.
So and then going.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, how we can kind of gain some perspective. Take a sec. Think.
Yes. Empathy.
And then going off of with social media. So, of course, it a lot of times makes us start to be judgmental. Because there's judgmental to other people. And there's being judgmental to yourself. My first question on this one is kind of a person. Like, how long would you say? I mean, I'm sure it still kind of lingers today. But for you to feel like you've quelled a little bit of your, like, internal judgmental monologue. Yeah.
God, I still am working on it.
Yeah.
But the awareness helps.
Yeah.
The awareness of you're not, you're not just looking at something or someone or situation, whatever it may be, or music, and going, that's not my taste. Mm-hmm. That's one thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going, wonder why they're wearing that. That is not to be worn here. Well, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Someone's wearing it.
And feeling okay.
Yeah.
So it, and just because it's not my taste.
Yeah.
And so I constantly work on that.
Yeah.
Because it starts with those small things, and then it gets to being people. Well, they should have done that. Now, if they were smart.
Well, and then also, like, your own internal monologue.
Oh, like for myself.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yes, because that is hard. Because I think, when was I'm trying to think how long ago it was.
For what?
That I really was aware of the inner voice and started quelling it.
Yeah.
It was around the time that y'all were born, maybe a little after.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I am an okay mom.
Yeah. Quit
comparing yourself to others. Mm-hmm. Your body is your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm never going to be what I never was.
Yeah, to begin with.
Yeah. I will never shop at size 2.
No.
Or 10. It's like that's not my size.
Yeah.
And you're okay. Mm-hmm. I want to feel good about me, which may be going to the gym and just so I know I can lift weights, feeling strong, not,
Yeah.
And so that's the inner voice of, I know the choices that are good for me.
Yeah.
And this comes, I think, with going, I have got to stop what I heard growing up about what I need to be and should be. The kind of wife. I'm going to be the kind of wife I am.
Yeah.
Not what
the
expectations of my mom happen to be on what kind of wife I need to be.
Mm-hmm. And I think those are like so hard to shake, the internal things that you were just fed as a child and growing up. And then it's like, but I don't want to be that way. But because you aren't that way, you start judging yourself and you're like, oh, but I should be like this. But you don't have to be.
you know? I cook because we need to eat.
Not because you enjoy it.
It's not something I enjoy. And this is the funniest thing, and it still makes Paul laugh, is when we got married, Mom and Dad were visiting. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes I iron, sometimes I don't. And Paul had something that he needed iron, and he was ironing. And my mother was just,
oh, no.
He is ironing his own clothes? Well, yes. And he doesn't mind. Yeah. And I sometimes do. Sometimes I iron mine. Sometimes he irons mine. And she just thought we were going to be getting a divorce because I went ironing his clothes.
Yeah.
But, and it was like, oh, I'm less than. No, I'm not. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's a small message, but it's if I don't stop that one.
Then you can't stop.
Then it's going to snowball into everything else.
You just start projecting it. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What am I not enough at?
Yes.
And that happens in your job.
Yeah.
We work differently.
Yes.
And
you're told, oh, you should work this way. And then it's like, if that's not working for you, then it's like, what's wrong with me?
Yes. And gosh, you're not available 24/7?
Yeah.
Well,
no.
Balance, so it's this inner judgment, everything from hair.
Yep.
Mine is fine and thin, and it will never be thick.
There
different. Is not a product. Don't send me any. I've tried them all. There is not a product, and it's just the way it is.
It's the way it is. Yeah.
So you do with what you have, and you go, you know what? Mm-hmm. This is me.
Yeah.
And this is whether you believe in the higher power or whatever, the Creator.
Mm-hmm. That's how they made you.
This is who we are. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we're not one size fits all.
Yeah. So how can we be have that honest, that judgment, like that objective, honest with ourselves without falling into that judgmental? Because I think there are times where you have to be honest with yourself. You always say, I'm very impatient, or, I could say for me, it's like, I jump to conclusions too quickly. It's like, but I have to be real with that without getting into, I jump into conclusions, and then I cause all these problems for other people, and then I cause all this, and blah, blah, blah. It's like get into this judgmental thing.
Yes. And I think that's where we create this space for that we hold gently.
Yeah, we talked a bit about that last time. Yeah.
Sydney, you are, you create these things.
Yeah.
And I see you doing that. I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not going to degrade you when I see you doing that. I'm just talking to myself. Actually. Kelly, when I do have these conversations, I see you doing that. What's going on that's creating this anxiety in you? What is it, or whatever it may be?
Yeah.
I see that. Okay, that's who you are, but you have control over some of that. You can change your reaction slowly.
Right.
And you don't beat yourself up. And what I find is when I stop beating myself up about it, it lessens. And I slowly, it has been where I stop it sooner.
Yeah, you find some motivation.
And I find other language to go, I do like you, Kelly. I don't like everything you do.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of good, because I do believe we're good first.
Yeah.
And I can create, that's part of it, is finding a compassionate language.
Yeah.
To go, you're okay.
Yes. And okay, I'm going to jump in with my own resource real quick.
Okay.
And then we can go to, and then I have one more question, but because you mentioned we're born good. We don't. So if you have not heard of the 4 Agreements, it is amazing.
Yes.
It changed how I see a lot of things. And there are 3 books, but the most important one I would say is the first one that talks about the 4 Agreements. And it's just this idea that we're born with this just beautiful blank slate. We're born no judgments. We're born meant to love everybody. We're born meant to just be good. And very clear-headed. Then there's the imagery of it starts to get foggy and cloudy as you're fed all of this stuff from either your surroundings, from people, from society, from now we have all this media, all this stuff, and just cloudy and cloudy and cloudier. And so then your true self inside is kept out. You can't see anymore, basically. And so it just that idea of, you hold this place and you're gentle and you are meant to be good, and that it's there. And sometimes with this judgment, you just have to start clearing the clouds and shutting out all of that stuff and just holding space for yourself versus and just push out the other stuff. Yeah. It's a great, the 4 Agreements is really,
it's a good book. It's been a while since I've looked at that. I'm going to have to revisit
and so if you really if judgmental and talking to yourself harshly is a big thing for you, then I would highly recommend that book for sure. And then, I guess, so my next, do you want?
When the amazing thing is, for me, what I've just found is that the more I am compassionate to myself, the less I judge myself, the less I judge others.
Yeah.
Because rather than judging myself, I'm asking myself, what is it that you're needing? What are you not getting? What do you need to do for yourself?
Yeah.
And when I answer those, I'm looking inward instead of pointing the finger outward or blaming or anything else. It's you need to take care of you.
Yeah.
I need a cup of hot tea today.
Yes.
I needed a milkshake the other day. That's a whole nother story.
Sometimes you need milkshakes.
Yeah, sometimes you need a milkshake.
Yeah. Well, I think that would lead, because my last question is benefits. What benefits can we see by stopping some of that talk? And that's definitely one. It's just you just have you feel better.
Yeah.
And I feel then you have more space to be compassionate for other people.
And I just think that luckily, I guess for you, it be that awareness started about the time you were born, Lauren was born, so I just know I was a better parent, not the best, but I was a better parent than I would have been.
We never felt,
because that way I could be gentle with you, and because I know I did not shame myself as much. We also shame ourselves,
Yes,
but not as much. And I wanted to make sure that you didn't feel that ugly thing that I felt.
Yeah.
Although I can't stop you from feeling it, but but I can't put it on you. I cannot try to put it on you either. But so that and that judgmental and I know I think Dad and I both were pretty conscious about how we talk about other people.
Yes.
Like when we saw the homeless, it wasn't get a job. Those people aren't trying. It was we don't know what situations put them there.
Yeah,
and that's a tough spot.
That's
so we try
exactly.
To help,
and I feel like if you've grown up with parents that don't talk that way, that are a little harsher, then that's another hard narrative that you have to push out of your mind and make that compassion for. And I feel like energy too. I feel like you just have more energy because it takes a lot. I mean, I know I get worn out when I'm sitting there judging myself and thinking about all the stuff that I could have done better and been better and blah, blah, blah,
We spend a lot of energy and we get angst. And I don't know this because I'm not a scientist, but I read somewhere where your body doesn't know the difference between made up stress and real stress. So if I'm creating this judgment and this angst within my body, my body doesn't know the difference. It just knows I'm feeling stress.
Yeah.
I'm feeling anger.
And so it causes like cortisol spikes and all that. Yeah.
So, and I think I have this poem I found. And I don't do poems every week. But we judge situations too, which make them harder.
Yes, I know that there are times where you just go, you got to see people you may not be a fan of, and you just start ahead of time. The conversation. Ahead of time, going like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like this, and then they're going to say this horrible thing to me, and this is going to happen, and I'm going to have to deal with this, and blah blah blah. And then, like, most of the time, at least half
the time, it doesn't happen.
Right?
Yeah.
And so situations I 100% judge.
Yes, even before we get there, right?
Yes.
And so this poem, it's called "Peace is This Moment Without Judgment."
Yes, and if you're not driving and you feel like you can have a sec to like close your eyes and listen, then that'd be good too.
Okay, yeah. It's by Dorothy Hunt, and again, this will be posted as well.
Yeah.
Do you think peace requires an end to war, or tigers eating only vegetables? Does peace require an absence from your boss, your spouse, yourself? Do you think peace will come some other place than here, some other time than now, in some other heart than yours? Peace is this moment without judgment. That is all. This moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Peace is this moment without thinking that it should be some other way, that you should feel some other thing, that your life should unfold according to your plans. Peace is this moment without judgment, this moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome.
That's awesome.
I
love it.
I came across that. Mm-hmm. And as you know, recently, I think I mentioned this last time. My dad broke his hip, and he's in rehab. And in this rehab situation, I mean, I don't care who you are when you have hip replacement, you can't bend down and put your socks on.
No.
He was cold. He needed socks on his feet. Mm-hmm. So there I was. I thought, well, I'm here. And I started putting them on. And I did think this is a hard moment. Yeah. He's 92, so that. But this is a hard moment, and it was. But I didn't jump into
judging it or
it shouldn't be this. I hate doing that. I shouldn't be the one doing that. It was I am here, and this is the moment, and I'm going to be present for it.
Yeah,
and it made it easier. It was so hard, and I can say that. That's not the judge. That's not the harsh judgment.
Yeah,
but it's trying to change the situation. This is what it is. Sometimes they're hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to, if only this is, well, yeah, but it's not. Mm-hmm. And if I can find grace in that moment.
Yeah.
When we get fired.
Yeah.
When I need to quit a job because it's not healthy. Whatever that may be, how I encounter that, this is just this. This is part of life. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to acknowledge all the emotions.
Yeah. But
I'm not going to throw trash around the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it. So real quick, we'll kind of wrap it up. So we really would like to answer like a question from some of our listeners next week. So if you can email us at incompleteguide.com or I think, through our website and at incompleteguide.com. And our email at incompleteguide@gmail.com. And then or message us on Instagram or whatever, but we are going to answer listener question. And so send those in, and we'll kind of do that periodically and have a chance to hear from you guys. And, rate, subscribe, show your support for our podcast. And next week's topic is going to be, it's the small things. So the small things that happen in our life.
And so this week, I would simply invite you to be aware when those judgments versus opinions come up. And especially when you start judging yourself compared to somebody else or something else, to just be aware of it and give yourself a positive message versus the negative of, I am enough.
Yeah. I like it.
I'm good.
So we invite you to listen with us next Tuesday, and invite you to take a breath and take a listen. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of An Incomplete Guide to Personal Growth. There are many ways you can stay connected. Follow us on Instagram at An Incomplete Guide Podcast, where you can sign up for our email list and get posts that delve deeper into our weekly topics. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast page wherever you listen to your podcasts. We would really appreciate a rating and sharing us with your family and friends.
We're so glad you chose to spend your time with us, and hope there was a thought, a resource, or a laugh that you can take on your journey. We'll be here every Tuesday for you to take a breath and take a listen.